homeowners insurance, car insurance, you know what happens, for example, if your house catches fire and they say, you know what, it's not covered, or if there's a flood and it's not covered, your auto insurance won't cover an accident, or you wonder why, and they say, well, that's excluded, sir, and you're saying, what? Matt Corneo, Compass Insurance Group. Now, Compass Insurance Group is part of an effort we have on my referral list called The Insurance Help Center. You can always reach them there, by the way, theinsuranchelpcenter.com. And Compass Insurance answers dozens of questions a week for consumers free of charge, all about insurance, and they're doing it today on the show, 303-771-HELP. So let's go through this. Matt, you guys are insurance experts. You love educating consumers, and that's what this show is about. Not only creating business for good clients and good sponsors, but to really educate consumers. So let's talk about the most common exclusions, okay? Sure. That's really what people want to know. What is not covered? Because isn't that the most important thing?
Sure it is. And it depends, if we're talking about auto insurance or homeowners insurance.
Let's talk homeowners now.
Okay. The most common exclusions are probably flood. Or earthquake, that type of thing. People don't understand that leakage from snow isn't covered.
Let's go through the major ones here. Okay. So we have earth movement. That means earth movement. That means a mudslide.
Sure.
So that could be
not real common in Colorado,
right.
But yeah.
Okay, and earth movement could be settling, a sinkhole.
Absolutely.
See, people think, and that is not so uncommon. That's not covered.
That's right.
Flood. What's a flood? People think, oh, that's not a flood. What's a flood?
Groundswell water, rain, that type of thing. It's not a broken pipe. It's not a toilet overflowing, but it's natural occurring water.
Here's the way I like to look at it. If water falls or comes up out of the ground outside your house and flows in, if water flows in, it's a flood.
That's exactly right.
If it flows in.
That's exactly.
Not if your window breaks and it pours in directly.
That's right.
But if it hits the ground and then comes in, it's not covered.
It's not covered.
Unless you have flood insurance. Now, a lot of people don't know that. So what about water that backs up through a drain? Often not covered?
Well, we can cover resulting damage. Sewer and water backup is an extremely common type of loss that we deal with, and the most important thing is to make sure that your policy has it. Or if you don't want to buy it, at least you know that you don't have it.
What does this mean? On our list here, you have something called ordinance or law. What does that mean as an exclusion?
Well, Tom, let's say that a house burns, there's a partial loss. Okay. Half the house burns to the ground. The insurance company is not going to pay for upgrades to your property. Basically, what's going to happen is the insurance company is going to pay to replace your home to where it was before the loss.
So are you saying that if there's a new building code, they're not going to upgrade it?
Wouldn't be covered unless you have that coverage.
So if you have normal coverage, and now you have to build it in a higher standard.
That's exactly right. It wouldn't be covered. Now, a lot of policies will include a small amount of that. And what's funny is it's such an inexpensive coverage. It's about 2% of the entire premium to add it. And there are companies that aren't equipped to add it. They don't have the ability to add it.
So all of these things can be added?
Yeah, absolutely. So the key is what will your budget allow, and to be educated. And what we try to do with our clients is just to educate them and say, you buy what you'd like to buy.
What about theft of jewelry? Theft.
Well, there's limitations to that type of thing. And you just have to be educated going in that I have $5,000 in coverage with this particular company, or I have $2,000 in that particular company. So knowing what you're purchasing. Okay,
and then the same with firearms, a limit again?
Absolutely.
Why are there limits on firearms and jewelry?
Well, I think the biggest reason, Tom, is if someone breaks into your home, they're looking for items that they can get rid of. Jewelry is easy to get rid of. A firearm is easy to get rid of.
What about property used in business? Would that be my computer?
It can be if it's licensed to the business, if the business owns it. But if you own it personally, then in most cases it's going to be considered personal property in your policy, and you won't have to add it.
Does the insurance company actually ask? Because I bet you a lot of people, they have a business and they have stuff at home in their office.
Well, one thing that we do with every client, Tom, is we actually have a checklist that we go over all of these coverages so you know your limitations. Sometimes your business inventory, depending on the policy, can be covered up to a certain limit. Okay. And other times they'll completely exclude it.
Now, let's go to auto to see what's excluded commonly in auto. And I want you guys to check your policies. You can always call and add coverage, and call our help center now, 303-771-HELP. Okay, a newly acquired auto after 14 days, if it's not added. I thought it was 30 days.
See, everyone thinks it's 30 days.
Not.
Everyone thinks it's 30 days. And there's a few companies out there that do that. It used to be that everyone covered 30 days. Now, we have a few carriers that may only allow 7 to 10 days.
Okay, so if you get a new car, and Another thing, if you get a new car, the only coverage extended is the coverage you have on your current
That's exactly
car,
right? So if you've got liability only and you bought a brand new car, guess what? When you leave that dealership, you have no coverage for that.
You only have liability.
That's exactly right.
So remember, when you extend to a new car, it's only the coverage you have that extends. And that's the same with rental cars as well, right?
That's exactly right.
GPS, even if it's built in, and DVD players. Why?
Well, some of this, Tom, it depends on your personal policy and what they're going to extend.
Now, what does this mean, rental car coverage for family members?
Well,
in
order to obtain, if you rent a car, you have to be a named insured under your policy for the coverage to extend over. So that 21-year-old that you've got, he's going to go rent a vehicle. He's not a named insured on your policy, but he's a listed driver. Coverage is not going to extend in most cases.
If he's a listed driver. So if I have a car, my wife and I drive, and it's wrecked, I can't rent a car for both of us.
Sure you can, if you and your wife are named insureds.
Okay.
But your kid, who is a listed driver, but not a named insured, coverage probably is not going to extend over.
What's the difference between a named and driver? I thought when you are a named driver, you are a listed.
When the policy, who the policy comes to. Okay. Holly and Tom Martino, that's who the policy comes to. They're the people listed. And then there's the listed driver.
Okay, we have a phone call now. This is all very interesting, and we can't possibly cover it all. That's why you can call 303-771-HELP. Okay, let's go to the phones. And Rich. Hi, Rich. What's happening?
Well, I got a question for you. What I see out there is I've been with an insurance company for over 30 years.
Yes, wow.
And basically last year they jacked up my rates about 20%.
Yeah.
When I confronted them on that, they basically says, well, the reason they're adjusting my rate is because the cost of replacement has jumped so high because they can't get good labor here in Colorado.
After 30
which I think
years.
is a bunch of baloney because I said to him, I says, look, you're over $300,000 in my house. My house is worth about $250,000. You're not taking the land in consideration. And I do have that ordinance provision, which gives me a flex of about 20%, which means, let's just say I was insured for $250,000, it cost them $270,000 with that 20% float. I'm covered.
Okay, hold on now, Rich. I want to get Matt's take on this. He's been with these guys 30 years. They hike up his coverage so they say labor has increased. I mean, 30% seems a lot in 1 year.
It is. The problem is when was the last time that policy was reviewed? It could be years and years and years. This is what happens, Tom.
I know it.
People renew with the same company 10, 15, 20 years. Then all of a sudden they have a claim and they want to know why something is not covered. And it's as much your responsibility as it is your agent's responsibility to find out what you're covered for. You've got to do reviews on a very regular basis.
And they don't even have to give you a good reason for increasing your premium,
Sure.
right?
No,
they could have said to him, you know what, Rich, that's the cost of doing business. Then you go elsewhere, Rich.
Yeah.
Even if you've been with a company 30 years, I hate to say this, but what upside is there to loyalty to an insurance company? A lot of people, I know you get this. Well, Matt, I've been with them for so many years, I don't want to change. Why?
Well, and that's the unfortunate thing is that insurance company, you got to remember, they have millions of clients. And you're a number. And so the key is you have to be aggressive.
Right.
And you have to look out for yourself.
And you have to shop for yourself.
You do.
All right. If you're interested in shopping for insurance, remember the Help Center, 303-771-HELP. They'll be there throughout the hour, 303-771-4357. Keep that number in your bonnet. But if you need to get in touch with Compass for insurance needs, it's a great company. You call 303-996-9000. And you can call that number, of course, anytime, 303-996-9000 or theinsurancehelpcenter.com, theinsurancehelpcenter.com. Paul